we get you start on the news of Sega Koulibaly? What was the process there? Was he close to coming back, or was it?
No, not really. We're going to kind of leave it at undisclosed medical reasons, and he will return back to France to try to get himself ready to go again. And so, we've been working closely with him, and we just think it's, for all of us, the best, and him too, the best scenario.
I know you talked last week about having some size on the back line, but without him there.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a position that we definitely are going to have to be attacking right now in the off season, and we're talking, or sorry, not off season, but the summer. So we're looking both inside of the league, outside of the league at free agents. So it's something that we're definitely keen on and looking heavily, having discussions with certain players. So something will happen there for sure, just to bring in some depth and different things, different qualities too, if we can, to add to our group.
Yeah, and on the transfer market, do you guys expect to be fairly active and maybe get a big name player, or just maybe stay where you guys are at right now?
Well, we'll see. We're just in this window where it's really it's an opportunity thing because of the transfer ban, right? We can't be aggressive and go buy somebody out and bring that guy here, and so. Inside of the world, when you're talking about big names and big opportunity, like this is really like there's one or two guys in the world who are an opportunity that it fits together. It's such a small sample size of or pool of players that fit into that. Having said that, we are trying our best to have the right conversations with guys that we think can really help our team move forward and build on our roster. But you're looking at guys who are free agents and who possess the qualities that we want to continue to build our roster. That just is small. And they're at the right age that we see 3, 4, 5 years maybe with that player and are ready to come to MLS, like you're talking about, like a really small pool of players, There's other things that we're looking at that can help the team maybe a little bit more in the shorter term, but there's, when we're talking about bigger moves, you're talking about players that are really going to add to our team for a little bit longer than maybe 6 months or whatever the case may be. So it's just it's a tough moment. We're working inside the league. We're communicating with every club and talking about every possibility inside of that too. So we want to bolster our roster here this summer, and that's going to be the goal. But our mechanisms are just a couple, right? So we're going to work through that.
Yeah, what's the feeling going into this game to San Jose? 4 games unbeaten at the moment, 2 derbies ahead. How are you feeling? The team feeling?
Yeah, good. I through stretches of these last 4 games, I've liked what the group has been able to do. I feel real positive about some of the things that I think we've settled in. We went to Colorado on short rest and the altitude, and we adapted a little bit and we showed a strong mentality through a large stretch of the game to set ourselves up to really go for the game at the end. And I felt at the end of it, for the last 20 minutes or so, if anyone was going to win it, it was us. We had the chances. The gap for us is that we are number 2, I think, 1 or 2 in the league in like chance creation, but we are just so far behind it in the actual execution of those chances, right? So we've got to close that gap, and that will take a little stress off of the defensive side too, because there's a sense that you've really got to be almost perfect at times on the defensive side, which we haven't, but I think we've improved and we continue to improve. We're obviously, to Chris, is our lone real center back right now, so it's going to be all hands on deck when it comes to the defensive effort. So we got to keep doing that through this stretch until we're able to continue to add to the group. But the mentality has been strong. I mean, we have gotten out in front of games. We've come from behind in games. The one we really rue is the one that was here, that we were up 2-1 and it's late in the game, and not taking those. If we take those points, we would be over the moon with this little stretch of 4 games, because 3 of the 4 have been on the road, and so and tough places to play, by the way. Altitude for 2 of them, in St. Louis, who's had a great start to their year. So we've shown some resiliency and some progress in this group, but we've got to close that gap and finishing the chances that we're creating for ourselves, which then takes a little bit of stress maybe off of the defensive side. And when you're protecting a lead, you get everybody really focused on that protection, not feeling like we have to over push to try to get those goals that haven't been easy for us to get. So I feel like that's a little bit of where we are, but we feel good about going into San Jose, which is a team I think we played one of our best games in the season against them here. So we've got to learn from that. I'm sure they'll adapt to some things because they didn't think they played well against us. So I'm sure they'll adapt a little bit and want to have a better showing. But we, it was one of our days where we did a lot of things well on the day for 90 minutes and deserved to win. So we want to be able to build off of that. And then, look, when you go to the Rose Bowl and it's 80,000 plus people and you're playing your cross city rivals, anything can happen. It's going to be hell on wheels, and we're just going for it, So we'll get through one at a time, though. This is right now we're in a section where it's just one game at a time, and get everybody ready to get the result on that day.
Yeah, I know. Kind of, you can talk big picture. This month of July, tough games, Leagues Cup starts. How important is this month to kind of really build that momentum and really climb up the standings, because time's ticking out in the season?
Yeah, the thing about July is there's 4 games I think left within league, and then we take a break, and then we have Leagues Cup. We've got to really do our best to manage these 4 games and get as much as we can out of these 4 games. And then there's a little bit of a break before the league starts up again, of which we'll be able to conduct as much business as we're going to be able to conduct in the off season. Then we have Leagues Cup, which is we want to put our best foot forward, but it's not our ultimate priority in the year like this. But we also want to get ourselves prepared, because the last 12 games of the season are going to be everything for us, right? One game at a time. Every game is going to be vital, and a good number of those games are at home, and we've got to make sure that we're taking points at home and being really stingy on the road. So a lot of things are going to happen for us in July. Some of those are the games, but some of those are us trying to continue to build the team and fill our needs and for where we are at the moment. So,
status of Memo?
He's probably a week away. So he's on the field doing his return to play, getting his fitness up. The one thing left whenever you have a quad injury is the ball striking side of things and getting all the way to shooting. So that's the goal this week, is to get him in a progression of being able to strike the ball over more distance, harder, things like that, and to know that all of the rehab and all the work that he's done has given him the strength to be able to do that safely, and that's this week. That's it. And as soon as he gets through that, then he'll be ready to go. So I don't know if it will be questionable maybe for Philly, but we believe by the end of Philly that he should be back in the group. So we're kind of in that week range.
We saw Yuri out there striking the ball as well.
Yeah, so he got cleared yesterday. He got cleared. He saw the docs, cleared from the concussion protocol. So today was actually his first full day of training. So he's really just reintegrating into the playing, but he's been doing work, but it's just getting into the actual team and playing and all that kind of stuff. So he will be available. He'll be available tomorrow. We probably won't press him too far tomorrow, but by Tuesday, get him a couple more sessions by Tuesday, and then the weekend he'll definitely be in.
Did you look at that back 5? What did you like out of that group, and what kind of growth do you think you need to see going into this game and for the rest of this week? Really?
Yeah, I mean, again, considering a short window and a short turnaround and 5 guys who've never really played next to each other like that, Kelvin playing on the left, not something he's done a ton of. Mauricio's first start as a Galaxy player at the MLS level. Not an easy relationship, I would say, for the 5 of them, just because they haven't really done that. So I was really proud of just their resiliency, the way they were able to kind of communicate, talk, manage situations. Nobody expected it to be perfect, but they got through the stretch and protected the goal and gave us the opportunity down the stretch to shift back into a 4 and go for it. Part of it too is that Chris hadn't played 90 minutes since October, and we're talking back-to-back 90 minutes at altitude, and we needed to protect him a little bit physically. So putting him in the middle just meant less ground for him to cover, less running. He could just do a great defensive job. So I was happy with the group. For me, it wasn't an exercise in how perfect we were. It was an exercise in us being able to manage the game and protect ourselves and give ourselves the chance at the end with a fresh Douglas and a fresh Tyler and that group to come on and win it for us. We haven't had always the best time in Colorado, and I thought this was one of those that we actually, when you're talking about the last 15, 20 minutes, we were there to win it, and that was good to see. But we'll see. It's a decision that we have to make as we keep moving forward as a group, whether when we only have one center back, is it going to look like 5? Is it going to look like 4? We ultimately want the team to be comfortable and players to be comfortable, so that's a stretch, but I was happy with the guys in general.
You could get Zavaleta back, I guess, for Philly. I mean, the way they played the other day.
Yeah, they got a tough task ahead of them for sure. Between Costa Rica and then Panama, they've got a tough task. So yeah, if they don't get out of the group, then he could be back by then, which gives us obviously another center back and some presence back there. So, but until then, we've got to work through. Our group's got to work through and just step up.
Is there a possibility that maybe Marcus Furcanis could be elevated to the first team? He's been playing with your MLS Next Pro side. Is there a chance he could get first team minutes with this current situation?
There's a possibility. I don't know that Marcus is quite comfortable enough yet inside of the group to be ready for the MLS games in this moment. So we brought him in. He's been training with us a bit, and then even talking with the guys at the Under-20 World Cup that were with him, and also just around. With a young player, you always want to put him in a situation to be successful and never put him in a situation to have a tough moment. So we will, if he's ready and when he's ready, he'll get his opportunity with us, that's for sure.
Other injury-wise, was Memo the only
Yes,
one?
yeah. I think everybody else is okay, except for the guys that are not okay, right? Like Martin and Javi.
Yeah.
Well, with Martin, I guess real quickly, is there a possibility that he comes back at the end of the season, or is it that very slim?
There's an outside possibility, but the nature of the injury and speaking, the doctors giving us feedback, it's a minimum of 3 months, right, to really to heal. Just the bone, the reattachment, all of that stuff to heal. You're looking at a minimum of 3 months, and then from there, they really will kind of assess the progression, where he's at. And how quickly we could get him back into ready to actually play. So we don't know exactly. That's the thing. Again, what we do know is a minimum timeline is 3 months, which puts us towards the end of the year. And then it'll just be, as we progress through the healing, we'll probably have a better sense of what that opportunity looks like.
So at the moment, you don't consider it season ending?
At the moment, we are as we look to bring players in, we're considering it season ending because it's a long enough part of the season. But it doesn't help us either way when it talk about our overall picture, that whether it is or isn't. But we certainly have in the back of our mind that it very much could be, and so we are operating as if we need help in the back.
Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.